Seven Wonders Architects. This is a variant or a reimagining of the modern classic Seven Wonders, which is a game that I like very much, but also a game that's a lot going on. There's a lot of thinking, it can be pretty deep, it can be pretty intense. It's just not a game that necessarily, you feel like, oh, playing it every day or something like that. It just requires a certain commitment. Seven Wonders Architects is a lot more streamlined, is a lighter version, and yet I don't want to give you the wrong impression here. While it is a distilled version that gives you the general idea of Seven Wonders in a more digestible package, and that also makes it easier to play with younger players, it is still a game that, even from an adult perspective, has a lot going on. It is a game that reduces the complexity of Seven Wonders, and yet at the same time retains all that personally I love about Seven Wonders, all different ways of scoring, all the different possibilities, gameplay options, etc., etc., etc. But before I tell you too much about what I think, the game comes with these trays, each representing one of the ancient marvels of the world. And each player will be building one. So you choose one at the beginning of the game, or you get one randomly. And as you can see, when it comes to trays like this, that's something, a lot of thinking went into the production. And these wonders are different from one another, different structure, the different physical structure matters. Each has a specific kind of bonus that you'll be collecting during the game. Let's say that I decide to build, in this game, the Hanging Gardens of Babylon. And my daughters are building the Colossus of Rhodes, for example, or the Lighthouse of Alexandria. So you're going to have huge replay value, huge variety here, because you're going to be building different wonders every time. And gameplay changes also based on what other people are building and where they are sitting. Each wonder comes with a tray, with a unique deck of cards, so you will shuffle them. And then you will place your deck face up in your tray. And some decks will have more blue cards, some green, some gray, some red, again different combinations. And suppose after I shuffled, this is my deck, and so I place it to my left, between myself and the player on my left. And then I take the tiles forming my wonder and I place them in the configuration showed on my tray, which should be like this, and I place it with the construction site face up. When I actually build a segment of my wonder, then I'll simply turn that to the other side. Each segment, each section of my wonder tells me what I need to build it, so to turn it from the construction site to the constructed site, and it gives me what kind of reward I get. For example, to build the foundation of the Hanging Garden, I need two different resources, two resources different from one another. If I have them, I spend them, I discard them, then I get to flip this one. And then for the next stage, I need two that are exactly the same, the same kind of resource. If I do that, then I get that reward, and we'll see what that is. And you have to build them, of course, from the bottom up, but that means that some designs will give you more flexibility, because here, after I have this one, I can choose which one I want to go for first. Something similar happens here, but if you're building the pyramid, well, not a lot of structural variety there. So the structure is different, the resources are different, the decks are different, really impressive variety here. But so at the beginning, they're all unbuilt, and remember, there is my deck of cards that I placed between myself and the player on my left, and then of course on my right there will be the deck of cards that the player on my right has shuffled and placed there. We also have a deck of cards with those question marks there that is placed in the middle of the play area at the beginning of the game. We have progress tokens representing scientific discoveries, so we shuffle them and we place 3 face up. And then we have a number of peace or war and peace tokens. They're double-sided. They have the peaceful dove on one side and the horn of war on the other. And once we do this, when we set it up this way, we're good to go. Now, when it is your turn, gameplay is so simple and intuitive and it moves so fast. I love it. When it is your turn, you will have 3 cards to choose from. The card on the deck on your left, the card on the deck on your right, and the card on top of the draw deck in the middle of the table that, however, you can't see. And maybe you don't like what you see here and you decide to draw there. So that's the general idea. When it is your turn, you draw, you take one of these 3 cards, you add it to your personal collection. Depending on what it is, you do different things with it. If it's a resource, well, you simply place it there. Unless by collecting a resource, you can build an available section of your wonder, in which case, if you can build it, you must build it. Here, for example, I have a resource, which is a stone, and I have coins that are wild. They replace any other resource, so I can, and therefore I must build this. So this is what resources do. They sit there until they fulfill the requirement of an available section of your wonder, in which case then you discard them. And that is that for that part. Some blue cards they simply represent victory points. They sit there for now and you'll collect those victory points at the end of the game. Some also have the symbol here. That means that you take this token next to you. If you still have it, the wise cat, at the end of the game, you will score 2 extra victory points. Then we have green cards representing scientific discovery. Again, when you take them, usually they just sit there. However, if you have 3 different science symbols or 2 matching symbols, then you have a breakthrough. You made a discovery and you collect one of those tokens there that will give you different advantages. For example, this one, if you collect a resource of this kind, you immediately get to draw another card from the 3 available. This one will make military victory tokens more valuable at the end of the game. This one will give progress tokens a value of 2 points, including this one. And of course, you have many more. And when one is acquired, you simply replenish the offer there. Red cards, warfare. When you take a red card, again, it goes in your personal area. And for now, it just stays there. If the red card also has a symbol of the horn, some of those have 1 horn, some 2, then you will flip the corresponding number of war and peace tokens from the dove side to the horn side, to the war horn side. When all of them are flipped, then a war is started. And so every player compares the number of shields, of military symbols that they have, with the number of military shields owned by the player directly on the right and on the left. If you have more military symbols than a player on your right or on your left, you score a victory point. Otherwise, nothing happens. You don't lose victory points for losing a war. You don't lose anything. Actually, you don't score a victory point. You collect a military victory token, which is worth 3 points. That means that when a war starts, each player can collect 0 military tokens because they don't win against anybody, or 1 if they win against a player, or 2 if they win against both players sitting next to them. After you resolve a war, you take all of your cards that have war horn symbols and they are removed. So these are brittle troops. The other ones stay. And that's and then you reset that. I mean, this is it. This is the general idea. Draw a card, do something with it based on what the card is and what it does, and then you continue like this until a player has constructed their wonder entirely. That triggers the end of the game. At that point, every player counts victory points. You will have victory points on the segments of your ancient marvel that you completed. Look how beautiful it is once you finish it. You should hopefully have victory points from blue cards. You may have victory points from military victory tokens, from other sources such as progress tokens. You collect victory points on every possible source, and at the end of play with the highest total wins the game. I didn't show you these cards, but again, they come from the main draw deck, and they simply are just of the kind that you've seen before. They're also upside down for some reason. And that's just the way it is. So this is how you play 7 Wonders Architects. Just to give you a sense, I want to show at least another one. The Colossus. Look just how cool. How immensely cool these things look. And this is the favorite of one of my kids, Louisa. Louisa really is into warfare, and this is the one that as a reward will give you extra war icon. The Gardens of Babylon give you more science. The Lighthouse allows you to take the top card from any deck anywhere on the table and place it in front of you when you construct a section that has that as its reward. And again, just to give you a sense of how gorgeous these look, I'm just going to show at least this other one here. So it is a game with a truly stunning production. And at the same time, it's not a game that is too pretty for its own good. Sometimes that happens, that a game loses in playability because of the choices that came in production. But no, here the beauty of the components enhances. Gameplay doesn't get in the way, and gameplay is just so immensely good. When I read the rule book and I saw the gameplay wasn't going to be simultaneous, wasn't going to be everybody doing things at the same time, I thought, oh my gosh, that's going to slow down gameplay as compared to the original game. I feel like gameplay is faster here because although it's sequential, you had these 3 choices, but those 3 choices are good, are interesting, are fascinating, yet they're not overwhelming. Okay, I want to do this, I want to do that. Sometimes you're even able to plan your turn ahead, which you can't do with a traditional card drafting game. Why? Because there is a deck, the deck between myself and the player on my left, and I see the card on top and I really like it. The player on my left is doing something else. And so no matter what happens, the game goes around. Most likely this card will be here. I can count on that being there. The card on my right may be taken by the player on my right. But I know that the card is there. Maybe it's exactly the card that I want. So my turn comes around. Booyah. I do that. And even if something changes at the last second, again, you have 3 options to consider. Never overwhelming. Always fun. And again, most of the times taking the card is all you do. You take a card. And that's literally my turn. Now my daughter took her turn. That was literally how long it took. And now another daughter took the turn. And that's how long it took. And then I take my turn. It's just that quick. And from time to time, oh, okay, Dad made a discovery and there's the token. War is approaching. That's always fun. My daughter Louisa makes funny war noises. A little threatening, but very effective. I think that's kind of the point, right? Too. Psychological warfare. This game is so smooth. I mean, the only danger, quote unquote, is from time to time you have to remind people that it's their turn if you're playing with 3 players, because it's so fast that they pick up a card and they are waiting for their turn and don't realize that everybody else took their turn. And if I tell you that that's the worst thing that this game has, that's enough ability to tell you how much I absolutely love it. I can't find any fault in it. Huge replay value with all of the things that can go different from one game to the other. And immensely smooth gameplay. So intuitive, so fast, and yet so rich, so satisfying. You may think, well, ultimately you want to build your wonder and that's it. But I've seen cases where the player who triggered the end of the game did not win the game, matter of fact, because they neglected doing other things. And so It's still remarkably well balanced in that you really need to get a little bit of everything. Specializing in being the big warlord or the fastest builder doesn't really pay off. You need to have a little bit of everything. And in that balance, how to specialize in maybe in one thing, but be also very good in everything else or decent in everything else. Then you have a really interesting balance that you're trying to achieve there, which is very fun and very rewarding. In sum, to me, Seven Wonders Architects has all of the awesome stuff that I already like from Seven Wonders, but it does it better. As simple as that. I think I like this one better. I've been playing it all day with my daughters. We have been loving it. We're desperately in love with this game. This game is gonna see some significant time on the table because it's so smooth. It plays so well. It scratches the same kind of like itch as Seven Wonders, but it's more digestible, it's easier to play, and just as fun. So all the good things of Seven Wonders, but in my opinion, done better in a more user-friendly way. I guess that's the expression I was looking for. Just an excellent game.